Hey gun people, man, I am so, see all those dead lemons? I had my drink and my computer sitting on the motorcycle there. Gonna do a video about what I'm about to talk about, and the damn thing, the water. Nobody was by it. I was completely on the other side of the barn. It wasn't smoky. The water just fell over on top of the computer. I'm like, are you kidding me? There's one place it could fall. My computer was here. The water was sitting here by itself, no problem. I walked away, I'm doing all this stuff, all of a sudden I hear something turn over, I hear the lemons fall, and my computer's full of water. And normally I have clear water in here, I had iced tea and lemon in there. So I was like, shit, so I went in and got me some more water. Gonna try and set up the video, come back with all my notes. My computer screen looks like the blue screen of death. It's all jacked. So I just went and took it all apart and put it in front of the fireplace and let it dry out. Oh man! Madder than a sack of bees. Anyway, I had all these nice notes, so I'll probably miss some stuff. But this is a spoiler alert. If you've never watched, there's a video on, I think it's like 8 series, maybe 8 hours. Well, 8 40-minute episodes. And it's called Making a Murderer. Man, let me tell you, if you want to see the total breakdown of a system, if you want to see how innocent people end up in jail, man, this is a horror story from hell. So, before I go any further, if you haven't seen it and you don't want me to discuss it and ruin it, because it's got quite a bit of turns, and you're going to be shocked all the way to the end. So, turn this off. Watch the series and then come back and play the video. Otherwise, this is going to spoil kind of what's happening. Making a Murderer. Very good. About Steven, I think it's Avery. I'm going to find out what prison he's in and send some money to his books. And I'm serious, because I'm just like, this guy got such a raw deal. So, the story goes on, is he's kind of a local, his family's kind of known as kind of, I don't know, I guess I'll just say white trash. I mean, they didn't describe it that way in a movie. But, you know, they're kind of, you know, one cop described them as their gene pool or their gene tree has one branch. And implied that they're all inbred and none of them's too smart. Well, I agree with the not too smart part, but not in a bad way to where, hey, they were out there making a living, they ran a business, and you know, they had a couple of, what I would say, minor charges. I didn't see anything really, you know, maybe a couple of thefts or burglary. I can't remember all the charges, but nowhere near how this guy could get railroaded. So this guy gets, because he's known by the local cops, and I can personally relate to this, because there was one guy in the city of Woodland that I chased at least 8 to 10 times. Every time I saw him, I made a U-turn because I know he would run. And every time he would run, and every time he would jump out of the car, and he would ditch his guns or dope, and we either wouldn't catch him, or when we caught him, he was like, why are you chasing me, man? I didn't do nothing. So, I mean, the guy was just a known piece of crap, been in and out of prison, just suspended license, he shouldn't be driving, so any cop that knew him, if they saw him driving, as soon as they made a U-turn, he'd take off, there'd be a pursuit, he'd dump the car, he'd drive to his house, run in his house, get rid of his shit, they come out, give up, say, why are you chasing me, act all innocent. I mean, it was just an ongoing deal. So anything where this guy's name came up, or there was a description of anybody that fit him, it was like, shit, I know who that is, and I can't think of the guy's name now. Jose, Juan, whatever, I don't know. Hispanic guy, but just a known piece of crap. All the cops who have been around for a while knew him. Anybody that's worked a lot of cases, he was into drugs, guns, gangs, burglaries. I mean, he was just a piece of work. And this guy, Steven Avery, in this movie, Making a Murder, nowhere near as bad. Doesn't ran from the cops. Every time he gets caught, he admits it. This guy I was talking about that always ran from me and was always chasing, everybody knew. This guy was pretty smart. He was on the ball. He knew the system. He knew the cops. He knew how to, you know, if it was worth running, if I can get rid of a gun, who cares? You know, I'll beat the fling because they'll dismiss it, and I'll beat this. So, I mean, he was just, you know, he was a smart kind of guy. He wouldn't wouldn't admit to anything. If you tried to interview him, he knew the game. He would shut up. He would request a lawyer. So he was smart with the criminal justice system and had a pretty good head. This guy, Steven Avery, man, I mean, he would be like easy pickings. I could have arrested this guy for anything and probably got him to make statements that I could have charged him. I mean, he was just that kind of I mean, I don't want to dog the guy because, God, he's already been screwed through his whole freaking life bad enough. But, I mean, he's not the sharpest tool in the shed. He's, a few fries short of a little order of fries, but he's just not real smart. So he gets involved, or his name, somebody jumps some lady on the beach. They think it looks like him. The guy who draws the photo says, I think I know who this is. He draws a photo. Actually, I think he drew it from pulling the guy's booking photo, because the photo he drew and his booking photo are identical, and that just doesn't happen. So the drawer, the cop, was like, oh, I just drew what she explained. Man, the two pictures, you could tell this was a drawing of this portrait. So, I mean, and that's just for that case. So they end up, can't get anybody else. They focus on him. They kind of shoot holes in his alibi. They kind of lead the witness into saying, is this the guy? So they saw the drawing. Yeah, that's him. So then they show him a picture of Steven Avery. Does this guy look familiar? She says, yeah, that's him. So now she's seen the guy's face twice. Then when they do a lineup, guess who she picks out? Steven Avery. He did it. And it's very easy to manipulate victims like that. And I think in one of them, I didn't do a crazy cop story on it, but I mentioned on one of my stories, there was a lady that was raped. I did a photo lineup for her to go be raped. I went in to show her to her. She came in. She had been drinking. She was dealing with the rape. She was, I don't know if she used drugs or drunk, whatever, but she couldn't pick the guy out of the lineup. And I was like, I was pretty sure who did it. A lot of detectives who were working on it was pretty sure who did it. I walked out and went, she couldn't pick him out. And another cop goes, well, give me that. He walked in there. 2 minutes later, he comes out and he goes, she picked him out. I'm like, what the fuck? I go, are you shitting me? Now, do you think I was ever called to court? Do you think I was ever asked to do a report? Could I have done a report? Sure, I could have. And then they either lost it, covered it up, or went, why are you not being a team player? Maybe you need training on doing lineups. Maybe you didn't do it right. Why is it that this other officer, she picked it out with him? And it wouldn't be like, look, dude, I went in there and just showed her the lineup and asked her, dude, she couldn't pick it out. And he went in there by himself and she picked it out in less than a couple of minutes. So, did he show her? If I was a gambling man, I'd bet hell yeah he showed her, because she couldn't pick him out when I was in there. So, but proving that, again, remember in court, it's not what you know, it's what you can prove. So, anyway, they ended up convicting this dude. And they railroaded him, and he did 18 years before they did a blood sample on the lady or something and found out it was another guy. Now, in this video or in this movie, there's a cop who says, I think you got the wrong guy. I think the guy is this guy. He fits the profile. He assaults women. He looks like the guy you got tried. I think because the cops had this preconceived, because the chief and all these people didn't like him, they were like, yeah, thanks a lot. Thanks for calling. Have a nice New Year. Click. And never did shit. Hid the report, buried the report. Wrong on so many levels. You should always, as a cop, be looking for the truth. Always look. And that's not the only, this video is one case. When I was working for the DA's office, we had these two knucklehead DA investigators. They worked this guy for freaking, I don't know how many years, harassing, bumming, search warrant, season. Just ruined his reputation, just dogged him, arrested him 2 or 3 times. It was just horrible. And these two guys were good cops, but they got so focused that this is our guy. And the DA liked these two investigators, so they had him convinced that this was the guy. And they never looked for anybody else. After all these years of harassing and doing this guy, they finally got some DNA evidence, found out it wasn't him, arrested the other guy. And you know what? The DA and the 2 investigators still said, I don't believe it. I think he's our man. Because they were so convinced. And in this video series of Steven, you've got cops in that same mentality. So somebody's going to watch this series and go, oh man, this is an isolated incident. This can never happen. I think this shit happens all the time, because the government is too involved in being a team player. It's too involved in not going against the groove. is too caught up in making ourselves look so great, good, and perfect that we don't want to be questioned. We don't want to be questioned by the outside. We don't want to be questioned by the media. We don't want to be questioned by anybody, much less another cop or investigator question us. So it's the problem within law enforcement. I think it's the problem within power, period. Anytime you get people in power, they tend to think they're in that position because they know better, and they really don't want to be questioned, and they don't want to explain themselves. And I mean, I get that way with my horse channel sometimes. People write me some stupid question about horses. I'm like, look, I've discussed this in like 700 videos. Don't write me this stupid shit. If you're asking me this question, you haven't done your homework. I just don't want to, because I don't have time. I mean, on my horse channel, I got 20-something million views and 700 videos, thousands of subscribers. So I just can't handle all these questions, and I don't have time to explain this. So I try every time I got a question over the years to make my website and my videos encompass just about all questions. So there's really not a question you can ask me that isn't covered somehow in my videos or my website. So I understand when you get an expertise in an area on how it can be overwhelming and seem very redundant, and it's very frustrating to be asked simple-ass questions that you have to explain everything you're doing to a bunch of different people who hasn't put in the time and experience to get where you are. I get all that. But we're talking about putting somebody's life in jail forever and ruining their life. So this guy who goes in for 18 years, he's got a wife, he's got a couple of kids, I think he's got 4 kids. His wife ends up leaving him, she can't stand by him, they ruin his name, and then he gets out. So when he gets out, they do this big press release, they're loving him, the attorney general or the mayor or the governor or Congress are posing with him. He's in the New Innocent Project. He's just a freaking hero. And you know what? The guy is still simple-minded. He's been in prison for 18 years. He doesn't hold a grudge. He's very mild-mannered, quiet-spoken, really doesn't fight for himself or stand up. I didn't see hardly any aggressiveness in him any time in all the hours of footage where they had him recorded on a phone and everything. I mean, this guy just doesn't fit the profile for a violent offender. I mean, and you know, people go, oh, well, you can't profile, that's illegal. Whatever. I'm telling you, when you deal with so many violent offenders, you can usually tell how they are, how they act, how they respond to things, etc. This dude was locked up for 18 years, life, lost his wife and kids, and he was like smiling and saying, hey, I'm just happy to be out. No, I don't blame the lady that identified me. You know, I think it's the cop's fault. And he wasn't even that mad at the cops. I'd be like, you motherfucking pigs can suck my dick. You motherfuckers took 18. I'd be furious. And this guy was just like, no problem. So he ends up, because of this Innocent Project, and they're supposed to pay him, I think for wrongful convictions, the max you can get is 25 grand. So this one congressman says, that's bullshit, he ought to, you know, get 100 grand a year or something. So they end up getting him like 450 grand is what they're going to pay him. And then they get a couple civil attorneys that are going to sue because the cops did this shit, they ignored evidence, they violated protocol, they went after this guy, they didn't discover shit to the defense. And you know what? Right before he freaking gets his money and is going to win this case, somebody is freaking murdered that he saw last. And I swear to God, they set this dude up. There's no way that I believe for 1 second that this guy did it. And even if he did do it, he shouldn't be in jail. He did 18 years on a crime he didn't do. Not only did they send his ass back to jail for this crime, he's in jail with no chance of parole and no appeal board will hear him. The state appeals, the local appeals, the top appeal court, I think it's Wisconsin is where it's at, or Michigan, I'm not sure where it's at. But nobody will hear his case. He just got screwed so bad, and I still don't believe it. So in this trial, if you watch this series, you're going to notice so many things that I think are so egregious, and at a bare minimum creates huge reasonable doubt. If not immediate innocent and should be charges discussed, but at a very minimum, huge reasonable doubt. How the hell a jury convicted this guy, I'll never freaking know. I mean, I talk about jury nullification, I talk about going in a jury trial, I discuss when you're on that jury, you have to go in there. The government is either setting this guy up, the government's making this up, this guy is innocent, And you better prove to me without a reasonable doubt. Now, DAs and prosecutors love to tell jurors, and I bet you every jury I've ever been to where I've heard a DA give the closing arguments, they're like, this isn't CSI. You people watch TV, we just don't get cases like that. We've given a great case, there's a lot of circumstance, and they get you to kind of ignore what you should know. You know what? If it's not CSI, then you better be able to convince me without CSI and not bring some half-ass shit, planted evidence, opened evidence, destroyed evidence. I mean, the number of things in this case, the blood that they found in the lady's car, normally if you find blood in 5 different areas of the car, you're going to find a partial print at a minimum, if not full prints. You're going to get fingerprints, you're going to get palm prints, you're going to get some kind of print on this car. They had no prints on this car, but they had strategically placed blood in like 4 or 5 different areas. So the government right there should have been a clue for anybody on the juror, like, man, I don't believe that blood evidence. That's bullshit. Not only that, if you look at the blood evidence when you're watching this movie, the blood evidence looks like it was put on with a stinking fingernail, a nail brush. It looks like it was strategic. When somebody cuts themselves and they get blood on something, it smears. If I grab and I remove my hand, it smears. It never goes on like I'm sitting here dripping blood on different areas of the car. It wasn't splattered like I was hitting something. I mean, you take a tomato and you throw it against the wall and it splatters out and you get different, blood splatters, etc. None of the blood was splattered from swinging. None of the blood was smeared. It was all put on like it was put out with a nail brush. Not only that, they had his blood from the previous unauthorized conviction where he did 18 years, and the blood had been opened and should have been sealed, and somebody went in there and cut it open. And the jury ignored all that. I just can't freaking believe. I mean, there's just so many. They searched this guy's house for 8 freaking days. 8 days. They went back 2 days later and found the key to her car in plain sight next to the dresser. Now there's this one lieutenant there. I don't care whether this thing makes him look dirty or not. It's just too freaking convenient that his name and he's involved in too much shit. I think he's dirty. I don't know him. I don't like saying he's a dirty cop, but you know what? His name is in too many places with too much crazy shit. I can't remember his name, Lieutenant Kanoki or whatever. But that dude, he needs to be seriously looked at. And there's no investigations. I mean, just from a juror's perspective, if I think somebody's innocent, and then you put up a defense to where the guy was wrongly convicted because the PD don't like him, then he did 18 years, now he's winning this lawsuit on the agency, and he's looking at millions of dollars he's about to win, and now there's a murder, and now they're saying it's him, and suddenly the car appears on his lot, 40-acre lot, with thousands of cars on it, and the lady that disappears car shows up there. She saw him last, pretty convenient. What else? They get a 16-year-old, his nephew, who lives next door. 16. Now this dude, when I say idiot, I think anybody with an IQ of lower than 60 or 65 is considered an idiot. Maybe it's 45, but there's an IQ later where somebody is legally an idiot. They used to say, you probably can't say now PC bullshit, oh it sounds mean, they're mentally challenged, they're mentally not IQ high, whatever. This dude was, in my opinion, from listening and talking, he's an idiot. I mean, he didn't have the smarts to understand what kind of culpability he was in. He was easily intimidated, he was mild-mannered, he was an introvert, he was a loner, he was soft-spoken, and 2 detectives got him in a room and interviewed and grilled him and gave him bits and pieces of information. So what does he do? He ends up admitting, yes, she was there. Yeah, if you let me go home, yes, she was there. Yeah, we went in the bedroom. And he starts making shit up. Yeah, my uncle held her down, cut her throat, and I had sex with her. And I mean, the kid's just making it up as he goes. And I'm like, are you shitting me? So later he changed the story. He goes, none of this really happened. I just made it up from a book. I think it was... what's the movie? Killing. Something Killing. And he says, I just made it up from the movie when he testifies. But he changed his story a few times. So in the trial, he didn't even testify. I don't even think they used him. And the jury still convicted him. So this magical key to the lady's car that showed up on his floor to where they actually have pictures of the room they're searching all for 8 days never was there. Now all of a sudden it's in plain view when this one lieutenant happens to be in there. The whole PD that put him in jail for 18 years was not supposed to be involved in the investigation. And they were in and out of the house. They were knee-deep in the investigation. They were running the investigation. They were communicating with the investigating officers. They were in and out helping searching, helping the perimeter. There was logs. When you find evidence, like when they find that car, and you find evidence or there's a crime scene, you mark the crime scene off with crime scene tape like you see, and then somebody is responsible for keeping a log. If we had a homicide at a house, or there was a rape, as soon as we got there, once we established there was nobody there, we started securing a crime scene, one officer was posted at that front door, and his whole job is to log in. Who goes out and who comes in? What time is it? So-and-so just came in. Officer just came in. The chief just showed up. The chief left 10 minutes later. Everybody that walks in or out of that crime scene is documented, so we know who's in there. Part of that reason is in case we come up with a thumbprint or fingerprint or blood or shoe print and it comes back to one of the people, we can say when they went in, etc. But the other reason is so you maintain the continuity of the investigation, so you don't have, the brother-in-law showing up and planting evidence or the ex-husband showing up. I mean, so they didn't keep a log. This one lieutenant wasn't there. He was at the place. They got him leaving on the log. They never got him showing up. So nobody knows when he was there, how long he was there, what time he got there. So it just looked freaking dirty. This whole trial was so horrible. I cannot believe a jury convicted this guy. And that the appeal, and the judge was small-minded, framed, so it was all about the system. This thing I'm always talking about, people go, man, you seem like you kind of hate the government. I don't hate the government. I distrust them. I don't like them. I think they are powerful and they have no accountability. And their power grows and their accountability lessens. And in this case, it was a perfect example of cops wanting to be friendly, cops wanting to help each other. The DA wanted to help another DA. Oh, we don't want to be involved, so we're going to have another agency do the investigation. That shit never works. I mean, Baltimore, all these places, we want the FBI to come in. You big dummies, when the FBI comes in, there's backdoor deals. We all meet in a room. We're all on the same cop. Hey, how you doing? Yeah, we're going to help you. Yeah, what do you need? Yeah, okay. And then the FBI says, we investigated. We don't find any wrongdoing. I mean, how many times has the FBI been in an agency and found wrongdoings? Let's see. 0 to none is that I know of. So, I mean, it's very, very slim, and they may have found a couple. If something's very egregious and it's in the media and they can't hide it and cover it up, obviously they're going to go in and go, oh, we found it, we came in, we did a great job. But you just don't see agencies investigating each other and coming up with dirt. If they do, it's handled behind the scene. Hey, you need to address this. We don't want to let out the public. We have to protect the public. We don't want the public to lose confidence. We have to maintain their trust and support, so we got to lie to them to maintain their trust. Because that's how government thinks. And this case was an absolute perfect example. I was so disgusted watching this series. I feel so sorry for this guy, Avery. I mean, it is just a total travesty of justice. I cannot believe some lawyer, judge, politician, Supreme Court justice, somebody can't look at this and go, dude, the system failed this guy once for 18 years. He's in jail now and it failed his ass royally. And now he's in for life. Why can't somebody step in? Again, kind of a dumb guy, not real smart. Nobody's really harmed. Doesn't have a lot of influential friends. Nobody really cares about this guy. It's so sad and horrible. Like I said, I'm going to get to prison. I'm going to see if I can't put some money on his books. Just because I feel sorry for the guy, maybe he can buy him something, I don't know, protection, something. This guy got screwed. And if you haven't watched the series, very well worth it. Making of a Murderer. Make notes, come back and put questions. My computer went tits up, so now I can't find all my notes. Hopefully I can get it back turned on, but I think I covered most of the stuff that I saw in the movie. And we'll end that there. Freaking lemons. They ought to be in prison. Piece of shit ruined my computer.